Hi, good morning.
Good morning,
everybody.
good morning, good morning. How are you?
Excited because today we have a special writer.
Yes,
That it's her books are amazing. You're gonna see it soon. Their
yes.
books are in English and Spanish. It's a really different, different type of book. She has for young adults. She has for elementary kids. It's amazing.
Yes. She's magical.
She is.
She's very magical. You can feel it when she's talking, and you are going to enjoy her, I promise.
But first,
Yes.
why is so important read?
Why is it so important to read? It builds your vocabulary.
Hmm?
How important is it to read to your children?
What is so important to read to my children? First of all, I don't have time to read to my children. Why I should read to my children?
Because it's the bonding experience. When you're reading to your children, you need to read when they're nice and close to you, because they're going to start equate reading with love, with nurturing, with great stories, with all the things that are comforting to them. So when it's their turn to start reading, it's a wonderful headspace to be in. It's important because you're going to teach them critical reading skills. So why did Jack get the beans and sell the cow, to plant them, to grow the vine, to see the giant and Jack and the beanstalk? I mean, you can
So you're
ask
telling me that I
questions.
need to ask questions when I'm
Ask
reading?
questions. Why do you think this happened? This doesn't make any sense. That cow would have given milk. Why would he have switched it to beans?
And what will happen if I have already a reading kid? She already know how to read, and she has her own books. She's in fourth, fifth grade. Should I still keep reading to her?
There was an
because
amazing.
she doesn't not let me do it.
There was I wish I could remember his name, but it has been so many years. He was the dean of the education department at Harvard University. And he said, in our country, we stop reading to our children when they're old enough to sit and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
He says in Great Britain, what they do is they start reading to their children when the child is born, and they continue until the child goes to college. But it changes, because once the child can read, then maybe mom will read a page and dad will read a page. And then pretty soon they're reading more sophisticated books, and now they're reading the classics. Now they're reading really difficult books, and they're doing it as a family.
And we can have like a little conversation about this chapter, about what happened.
And it bonds the family together, much more so than sitting and watching something brainless on TV.
But that was my other question. What do you think is like, I should grab my book and read, or I should put the video about this book and let's go watch the video about this book?
I think if they're going to watch the video, it's much more important to have them read the book first, then watch the video, and then say, what should you prefer? How were they alike? How were they different?
That's cool.
Because usually when we're reading a book and we have the picture of a character in our head, okay, oh, he looks like this, or she looks like this, or whatever. And then when we see a video or a movie, they're different. We may not like it quite as much. We might like our imagination a little better.
And if I have a kindergarten, first grade, how long should I read to her? Half an hour, 1 hour?
Remember, I just said put your arm around your child, put them really close to you. You're going to know because they're going to start moving.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that means you're losing them. So look ahead as fast as you can. Are you half a page from a chapter, end of a chapter? If so, put on a new voice and finish that chapter. Or you can just stop and say, we're gonna go make a chicken soup, and we're gonna finish this tomorrow. But the child's body will tell you when they're starting to get antsy.
But it's a thing that we need to do, or we should do every day, right?
Absolutely.
Every day, read a little book, a little page, a chapter.
And read what you love. You don't need to read baby books.
Oh,
You can read what you
I didn't know
maybe
that.
it's Charlotte's Web. And so you're going to put on a voice for Charlotte, you're going to put on different voices and different, some are, um, because then what they are learning is not only to love a story, they're learning what fluency sounds like when you read.
Okay.
To keep the audience interested in what you're saying. And it also helps them to imagine use their imagination
Use
on a
your
story. Yeah.
imagination.
Yeah.
So the point is, even if I don't have time, even if you're tired, that I am every day, came home tired, please. I don't want to just do anything. But these 5 minutes for your kid, these 5 minutes of reading for your kid, it means a lot to them. Because I like that bonding that you said. I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, my kids are in front of me, but they are not around me. So it feels different.
It does feel different.
It feels different. So
And turn off that TV.
And turn off the TV.
Yes.
No TV in the nights. We just need to talk about the book. Let's read the book, and then after that, have a little 2-3 minutes conversation about what happening.
Yeah.
Did you like it? You really like that?
Yeah.
What the color of her? I don't know. My daughter loves colors, and she always says, "What is red? What is no pink?" It's a great question.
That is a great question. How would the story be different if it was if you're looking at a sky? Would it be a different story if instead of having a beautiful blue sky, there were thunder clouds and lightning? Would that be a different feel, different theme, maybe?
Yeah. Well, while we are talking about reading, the importance of reading, because the special guest that we have, she's going to tell us everything about her journal.
Yes.
And I'm so excited.
Yes.
Thank you for being here, and let's give the welcome to her.
Yes. We'll see you in a second.
Good morning. We are so lucky to have with us an honest to goodness writer who has books and everything. It's exciting. Her name is Patricia Bossano. She writes young adult fiction and also adult fiction.
Some of it, well, I believe that young adult bleeds into adult, and so I think that my books are, especially the fairy books for 15 and up.
Okay. Okay.
I have people well in their 80s who just love the fantasy escapes.
Yes.
And we have the little.
Exactly, and then there's for the elementary school kids in Spanish. I have a couple of them that are.
Yeah. So it's in all the ages, in different ages.
Different
ages. Different ages.
From elementary on to adult.
So good, so good. Well, I only have a few hundred questions to ask you. So, what inspired you to start writing for young teens?
I think that this goes back to my preteen years. When I was in elementary school, you start becoming a little more self-aware. And at school, in the 3rd, 4th grade, I started noticing that, if the teacher called on me, and I had to stand up in the middle of the classroom and everybody turned around to look at me, I could feel myself just heating up, and next thing I know, I'm just blushing furiously and becoming tongue-tied, and I don't know how to answer the question. I don't know exactly what to say, and and my voice would shake, and it was such a horrible feeling that made me dread going to school and being called on. And so I think that's when I started writing things down, and maybe it was a little bit of journaling that I was doing because I had so many words to express the frustration that I was feeling. So I would write it all out, and then it became this habit where I would be called on. I would suffer through all of that with the voice shaking and the blushing and the heating up, and I would be promising myself, I'm going to write this all out when I get home so that I say it how I want to say it, you know? And a little bit of that frustration came in that it's not like I could go the next day and then read it to everybody. This is what I meant to say yesterday. But it still helped me process. And that's been over 50 years now, and I think that through all of these, I've been able to express so many bits of dialogue or emotional expression that has helped me grow. And I think that that's why I call my books philosophical fictions, because I think that all of them are about character growth, mine and my characters.
Wonderful. You have an amazing amount of books, so congratulations. But what challenges did you face trying to get these in front of people?
So let's see. Currently, it takes me about a year to write and publish a book. I'm an independent author, and so yeah, it takes me about a year to develop the story from beginning to end, and then to begin the process of publishing. This is the first novel I ever wrote. It's called Fairy Sight, and this one took me about 10 years. And the reason it took about 10 years is because I had brand new babies and life happens, right? And so when my son, he was my second one, when he was about 6 months old, I wrote the manuscript from beginning to end. And then it sat for about 5 years because the kids were so little, and then school began, and I was working as a Spanish teacher at their school. I was also a translator and interpreter, and so the book sat and stewed in a drawer. And then once the kids were older and I had a little more time to myself, I pulled it out of the drawer and started rewriting a lot of it. And then I thought, I'm going to go and try to get it published. And so I got the writer's market. At that time, that was a thing, right? It's big old book like this with all the literary agents and publishers out there with a list, that lists the services, or not the services, but whether or not they're receiving manuscripts and what kind of manuscripts you can send. So anyways, I narrowed my novel to about, I think it was maybe 10 or 12 publishers, and I submitted the queries. And over a period of 6 months, they rejected me, some of them with letters. It's like, well, this sounds interesting, but not for us, blah, blah. That was that, and I got my 12 rejections, and then I thought, ooh, I know, a literary agent, that's what I need. And so I went through the same process for literary agents. And once again, I got the rejections I was gonna get, so the book sat for another 2 years until I decided the reason I wrote this book was because I wanted to give it as a gift to the women in my family. And so I thought, I'm gonna find somebody who will just publish my book, right? And so I started doing the research with these vanity presses, and I found a partner that offered a fantastic editorial package where they connect you with an editor that specializes in fantasy, which is what I had written, and young adult. And I worked with this girl for like a year, and the manuscript changed a great deal because her input was invaluable. And after a year, I was able to hold this book in my hand, and it was like,
Oh, wow.
But yay!
It's impressed because I was going to ask you too many rejections. It was 1, 2, 3, but it was 12 more than that.
I mean, and there are people who have well over 100, right? And they continue in that route. And I think that perhaps I gave up early. You know, I don't know. And I decided to go the traditional route. But now that I'm here and having learned what I've learned over all these years, a lot of times when you go the traditional route, you're locked in to what their marketing experts decide sells or doesn't sell. I've had people look at my books, whether they're marketing groups or publishers who want to, it's like, would you be willing to change your book this way or that way? Would you be willing, what's really selling now is like, how about if you change the direction of the story? And I'm thinking, no.
Yeah.
In this trilogy, what I have at the heart of the trilogy is the relationship between women and a family. There's an element of romance in each of the books, but that's not what drives the plot. And so when people tell me that, oh, well, what the public wants to see now is more the romance and more the sexual tension between the characters, it's like, no, that's not what these stories are about. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, if my niche market is the people who are more on the family communications and the family family relationships, then that's the group of people that my books are for, and I'm not going to change my story around to satisfy this bulk. Yeah. And so that was always important for me, and time and again I've been able to confirm that people will promise me this huge success, but I have to change my story, and it sounds like pandering to me, and I don't.
Because then it's not going to be your story.
It's not my story,
it's
right? Exactly.
Be different.
Exactly, and so yeah, I think that my struggle was finding out, that I didn't have this worldwide appeal, and that I should give it up unless I change my stories. And I thought, well, I don't want to change my story. And so then I decided I'm gonna take that rocky road of, I always have these visions of me with my books in the trunk of my car and standing in a corner going, hey, I got something here for you. So it was a struggle, but then about 10 years ago, I started writing full-time, or being an author full-time. And that's when I really got on that moonlit path that I call, which is going to the in-person events. And that's where I connect with my peeps, because they come to book festivals, they come to conventions, to book conventions or comic conventions. Fantasy does wonderful in comic conventions. And so sometimes I feel like I've joined the circus, and I do have my car loaded up with books and my booth set up, and and I do that. I'm a traveling scribbler.
Yay! Yay! The thing that I was just thinking about it was your first book, when you were talking about your editor, and it was very, very different by the time that you were finished with it. As a writer, whether you are in kindergarten or you are in high school or college, sometimes it's very difficult to have people tell you, that doesn't make any sense here, you need to change that. How did you get over your own ego?
How did I get over my own ego? I think that the reason this girl was an ideal partner for editing is, first of all, because the publisher was not there to market my book or to make money off my book. That publisher was there to publish what I told them to publish. But I wanted to have because when it comes to the technical part of the writing and where to place the commas and where do you use an em dash, and I don't trust myself with that. I mean, it's like, so this editor, she wasn't trying to change my story to suit a market. She was trying to make it legible, technically correct, and just feeling the flow of the story. So a lot of the changes that she recommended, it wasn't erase this chapter, rather move this chapter over here, that way you're building tension. And I'm going, wow, that is magical.
Yeah.
How shifting things around,
Right.
enhance the flow of the story. And so I think that it was encouraging, and I never looked at it as how do I get over my ego, because her recommendations were not changing what I had written. They were
And the
lifting
book
it
is
up.
still your
Right.
your words.
Right.
Your,
Exactly. So the words were still the same. It was just a matter of, and that's the part where, as a writer who's starting up, I didn't know, or my ear wasn't tuned in to, I'm revealing a secret too quickly here, and there's no suspense. So take that and put it over here, but she read the whole thing and then began the editing process. And so when she gave me the first pass at revisions, I was just wow. And that's why it took us so long
Right.
to
So
to
now,
put it
over
together.
the years, has your writing evolved? Are you still using her? I mean,
No, I mean, because after we worked together, I know that when I put the second book together, I had her contact information because I had requested it from this original partner, and by then she was in such demand that she goes, I would love to read the second book, but I'm scheduled out to, she had, I don't know how many manuscripts to read, and I'm thinking, oh no, mine is ready for you to read today. She's like, I can read it in September next year, and it's like, no. So then I haven't, used her for several years because, so. But as an independent, we build our network, and the people that I have working with me for proofreading, for digital design, for beta reading, for editing. I love these people. For the fairies in Spanish, my editor is in Argentina, and she is fantastic. She's the best.
That's really cool.
are you a reader yourself?
I am a reader. I think that when I was little, I can't remember. I mean, it must have been in the 5th grade, 4th grade, somewhere around there. My mom gave me my first grown-up book. She pulled it out of our bookshelves, and it was Papillon.
Yeah.
And my goodness, after Papillon, it was the Count of Monte Cristo, and after the Count of Monte Cristo, it was some Jane Austen, and after Jane Austen, I mean, so I've always loved reading the classic literature, and I think that some people that review my books will say that, which book was it? I think it was this one here, in Spanish. I got a 3-star review. I mean, and I've had worse. And I have a lot of 5 stars, but I got a 3-star review, and I thought, oh my gosh, 3 stars never shine so bright. Because she said the writing lends itself to, or puts you in mind of Gabriel Garcia Marquez and Isabel Allende, and I'm going, okay, I'm dead. This is all I needed to hear.
Nice.
This is all I needed to hear. And what she was not criticizing, but what she didn't like or didn't appeal to her was that the language was lyrical and poetic and overly descriptive, she said. And I'm thinking, that's my classic literature influence, right? And I love that. I love, Anne Rice. I love the way she writes. And so yeah, those have been my influences, and I think that to transfer that influence into a young adult market is probably part of the difficulties that I've had in finding my audience, which now, after almost 10 years of doing this full time, is like, this is where I found my audience, is in person events where I get to sit down with people and chat about influences, about likes and dislikes, and
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to help the parents. Okay. How can parents support their student when the student just can't think of anything to say, and it's like, what do we do with a blank page 1? How can parents, or schools for that matter, help students become the best writers they can be?
Gosh, to confront a blank page, that's the stuff of nightmares right there. But I think that a lot of times most of the ideas come to you when you least expect them. And I think that if you are one of those people who internalizes a lot of your emotion, and you have a hard time, expressing those emotions or sensations that are going through, I think that journaling is probably one of the most cathartic exercises that you can go through. And I say that from my own experience, because sometimes in a rage I would write a paragraph, and then it would just release that negativity. I'd written that anger down, and then a month later I would be going through my notebook and I would read that and think, oh my gosh, that sounds so stupid. Or it's like, oh yeah, I remember. But then all of a sudden I'm feeling like this could be a bigger story. I could put something up front and just express what caused this rage, and then take it down to a resolution. Yeah. And when you journal, sometimes you're putting down the seeds to something that can be a bigger story. So whether it was something so beautiful that you saw, or something that enraged you, or something that just made you feel all tender inside, you write down that little paragraph, and it's like putting a little seed in the back of your own mind, because now you've planted it onto that paper. So I think that encouraging our kids to journal, or I know that in Ecuador, when I was growing up, we didn't have electricity for so many years. But then when we did finally have electricity, there was a lot of times where it would just go out, and we wouldn't know when it was going to come back. So there was a lot of candlelight. And at night, after dinner, we would be sitting around the table, and there would be all kinds of conversations going on by candlelight that were very conducive to storytelling, because right. So those were all very inspiring moments, and a lot of them were memories that, for me, all come back to the stories that I'm telling. And I'm thinking that every moment in our lives has the potential to develop into something, into a larger story. And I think that for us to take that moment of ourselves and launch it into a different route than the one that we're following is a way of living out different experiences that ultimately build who you are in this road that you're going. So
When you're writing, are you ever surprised with what's coming out of your pen? Like, oh, that's so cool. I never knew that. It was almost like a third person kind of thing.
oh, it's the characters. I mean,
Yes.
because sometimes it was almost like, I mean, so the fairy trilogy, and not so much with this one because this was a translation, right? But the original, I almost felt that they were coming
Because you.
2:00 in the morning, and I'm going, I have to write this down.
And then you already said that.
She told me to write this down,
Yeah.
this character, you know, and so sometimes you do get so immersed in what you're writing that you almost think you're taking dictation.
Well, and that is the feeling that we have when you read the story as well. We are inside there. We are like in part of the story.
Exactly.
I know the character now. I know what she's gonna do. Oh, and no, she can do that. And you're feeling that. That is the emotion that you will go to us.
Exactly. And I think that for me, that's what I love about writing is that I get to express those emotions, and then when someone reads your book and they've understood what you said, you just feel like, okay, we're BFFs forever now
Exactly.
because you know me.
Exactly.
Right.
It's
Right.
true.
This has been so amazing. Come to our literary celebration where we're going to have this amazing woman read her
Have
story.
all the books here if you want. I mean,
And you can buy as many as you want. You can do all your Christmas shopping. That's just fine. But it's going to be on the 8th. Is it on the 8th?
September 8th.
September 8th.
8th.
And be here. And let your children experience this woman. She's amazing. And we thank you so much. Thank
Oh my
you.
goodness, thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Barbara
thank
and
you so
Carmen.
much.
Thank you.